Welcome to Torch Talk, VHS news for the students, by the students. Coming up next. The new art space. Meet Mr. Mortimer. The Year 4 Rainforest Project. I'm Liv. And I'm Bakashni. And this is Torch Talk. This week, as part of our focus on the new Innovation Center, we visited the Joy Block Art Swing. This is a fantastic, creative space with lots going on all the time. One exciting feature is that the students are now able to make pottery. We asked some Year 10 students about this.
Okay, so we're making a terracotta pot and we're using a coiling technique, which is when you use a piece of clay and then you roll it out into like coils. And it resembles sort of like a snake. And then you make a base. So basically I use the clay guides and a rolling pin, and I did cross hatching to make sure that everything binds well.
So this is after the process of drying it for around more than 48 hours. You're going to put it in the kiln, and hopefully if there's no like air bubbles or like cracks, it will stay and it'll make like a nice pot. And then after you can paint it with all the paints over here, and you can do a design on it, and then it'll go back into the kiln and then it should be complete.
IB art students have such an amazing space to work in. And their final IB art show opens tonight at the Masterworks Gallery. The show will run from March 5th to the 16th, and the gallery is open Monday through Saturday. Make sure you visit. Thanks very much to Ms. Swinburne and Ms. Rollinson for making the art space such a great place. Every year, BHS gets some new teachers. This month, Torch Talk spoke with Mr. Mortimer, the head of computer science.
Welcome to Torch Talk. Thank you for joining us today. Where did you work before coming to Bermuda?
Okay, so before Bermuda, I was working in Hong Kong. Very different experience, big city, lots of lights. And before Hong Kong, I was working in Kazakhstan. I worked there for 2 years, and then prior to Kazakhstan, I was working in Singapore. So lots of different cities there, lots of different city experiences.
How do you like living in Bermuda?
Well, Bermuda is very much a small island compared to the city of Hong Kong and other cities I've lived in prior to me coming out here. It's been a very, very different experience for me, and it's been a great opportunity to really find island life and experience island life for the first time. And coming here, I found that the local people are very pleasant, very friendly, and I've very easily found it easy to settle in here on the island. Working at the school has been fantastic so far. The fact that I've been given the opportunity to really work with some wonderful students and teachers, and I've really been able to develop and build upon my understanding of the subject, and obviously develop my teaching practice as well at the school, which has been fantastic for me.
What was different about living in Hong Kong compared to Bermuda?
The city environment, like Hong Kong, was very, very intense. It was a different environment, lots of people about everywhere you walk. The with somebody about all times of the day. It was a city that never slept in that respect, and it was just very, very fast paced. Similar schools are very similar. Obviously, here in Bermuda, it's an all-girls school, so that's very different. But it's been, in terms of the computer science and generally the teaching, the qualification we teach, they're exactly the same.
What are some things you do for fun?
I really, really enjoy my singing. I've had lessons now for many, many years, and it's been something that I've really kept and stuck to in terms of practicing regularly. Back home in England, I joined choirs and amateur operatic societies, and I've continued to pursue my enjoyment of singing. I've always relished the opportunity when possible to be able to practice and develop that. I also as well really enjoy football. I'm a big Leeds United fan, and I'm also a big fan of the PlayStation, so I enjoy playing games as well from time to time when I get the opportunity. And I'm a big fan of reading.
Thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself. Back to you, Liv and Vikashini.
It's great to get to know all our teachers. And now it's time for sports talk. Over to you, Izzy.
What's the fastest growing sport in North America that's named after a Cocker Spaniel? If you guessed pickleball, you're right. Invented in 1965 by 3 dads, pickleball is now played by 40 to 50,000 people around the world, and the number is growing. What you need to know about pickleball? It's sort of a cross between tennis, badminton, and table tennis. It's played on a court with special paddles, wiffle balls, and a specially designed pickleball net. You can play singles or doubles. You serve underhanded, and the serve has to clear the kitchen. Only the serving team can score. After the ball has been served, it must bounce once on each side before it can be volleyed. This is the double bounce rule. Games are played to 11 points. Pickleball is popular in schools around the world, including right here at BHS. And yes, the game was named after a Cocker Spaniel, Pickles. Pickles belong to pickleball founder Joel Pritchard.
Thank you, Izzy. This term, Year 4 students have been learning about the rainforest. We visited their classroom to find out more about their project.
Year 4 students have been studying the rainforest and have created beautiful murals in their classrooms.
They have learned about the different layers of the rainforest and the animals that live there.
There is the forest floor layer, which is the lowest layer of the rainforest and only has about 2% of sunlight, and the understory layer, which has a small amount of sunlight but not as less as the forest floor, and it's the second lowest layer. And there's the canopy layer, which is the second highest of the layers of the rainforest, and then we have the emergent, which has most of the animals of the rainforest, and it is the highest layer. And so my animal here is a boa constrictor. It can grow up to 3 or 4 meters long, and it ambushes its prey, which means it squeezes it until it cannot breathe anymore.
What else did you do?
We've painted exotic flowers. Mine is a frangipani. Mine is a Venus flytrap that eats insects.
Year 4 built terrariums and kept an observation journal.
Let's have a look at these terrariums.
This term we have been learning about the rainforest, and we have built a terrarium to show us what the rainforest tells us.
Our terrariums mimic the rainforest and the water cycle.
When we made a terrarium, we made a diary about it.
We put some pebbles in a plastic jar, then we added sands, then soil. After we planted our plants, then we put it on a big windowsill. A little bit later, there was lots of water. Well, we hadn't given it any more water. We had only given it water once, and then when we checked it, there was lots of water on the side of the terrarium. We are really proud of how our plants are growing.
That sounds awesome. How did the students feel about this project?
We love the rainforest!
Great job, Year 4s. Before we wrap up Torch Talk, let's go to our roaming reporters.
I'm Tessa.
And I'm Carmela.
Reporting for Torch Talk. Roaming reporters asked the BHS community, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book is Children of Blood and Boom by Tommy Adeyemi.
My favorite book is Silver Sparrow by Tayari Jones. It follows the story of two sisters separately who don't know the sisters, and their lives intertwine and they eventually meet and find out who each other are.
My favorite book is The Maze Runner, written by James Dashner.
My favorite book is The Hate U Give.
It's hard to pick just one, but I think my favorite book that I've ever read was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
One of my favorite books is A Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And it was one of the first books that I read when I was in high school, where I thought, wow, this is amazing that a world like this could exist.
My favorite book is Catching Fire by Susan Collins.
My favorite book of all time is The Valley of Song, written by Elizabeth Gooch. I was given a copy by my mother when I was 10 years old. I still have it today, and I reread that book every single year. It's the best book in the world.
I like the Three Little Pigs. I like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
I like to read Tagalog romance book. They call it pocket book. And yeah, I like suspense, romance, and I like Filipino author.
Wow, sounds like people have been reading some great books. I can't wait to read some of those. Me too. Back to you, Liv and Vikashini.
And that's it for this broadcast. Remember to share your stories. Email us at torchtalk@bhs.bm. Torch Talk. News for the students, by the students.